For numerous centuries, it has been held that rising in the early hours of dawn represents awakening at a divine moment. It was thought that whoever experienced this would transform into a chosen being capable of receiving a celestial force that would lead them toward the fulfillment of their purposes. Behind this apparent supernatural notion, there exists a concealed reality as often occurs in myths. Imagine sinking into a deep rest where everything unfolds naturally only to suddenly wake up at 3 in the morning. What if I told you that this occurrence of rising at this hour is related to something beyond what we observe superficially? Numerous people experience the disconcerting phenomenon of nighttime sleep interruptions, though initially it could be attributed to rest habits or daily concerns. This event frequently has deeper origins than one might suppose. The continuity of these awakenings indicates that there is more at stake than simple sporadic disturbances of rest. In exploring explanations about this mystery, it has been found that they are not merely individual oddities. Ancient Chinese medicine provides a fascinating perspective by relating these moments of alertness to particular structures of the organism. Others suggest that it could be a celestial communication from beings or even from the Creator himself. However, the question arises as to why God occasionally intervenes and wakes us in the middle of our rest period when He knows it is the only time we have to restore our strength. In this content, you will decipher the enigmas of rising in the initial hours of the day. We will explore the causes beyond the physical and emotional, delving into the spiritual dimension. You will understand how to interpret the hidden meaning of these indications and communications, in addition to optimizing your rest, vital well-being, and synchronizing with the natural cycles of the cosmos. The emotional and physical exhaustion linked to employment, home, or habitual relationships can be complicated for multiple people. Nighttime rest habitually represents a sanctuary to escape from concerns and renew energies, but it can become exasperating when one rises without evident reason in the middle of the night. Although tension and anxiety are common elements, it is fundamental to recognize that the expectation of relevant events for the following day can also provoke these awakenings. Likewise, there exist deeper and energetic reasons linked with the cosmos and the law of manifestation. Those who fear or consider that waking at this hour constitutes something harmful are mistaken. In reality, this moment of the night can be used to our spiritual advantage. Rising at 3 in the morning is considered relevant and potent in the spiritual sphere. Through the ages, this hour has been respected and analyzed in diverse spiritual currents due to multiple reasons. One of them is the connection of the numeral 3 with the sacred Trinity or the union of body, mind, and soul. Relevance is also granted to 3 in the morning as the central point of the night, the moment when darkness and silence reach their peak before dawn, representing the beginning of resurgence and spiritual illumination. If you rise regularly at this hour, it is feasible that you are a deeply spiritual person, very perceptive to energy and harmonized with the universe. This time frame is considered sacred because it is thought that the boundary between the mundane and the divine becomes more subtle, facilitating that the presence of the spiritual reveals itself more clearly. This moment offers a unique occasion for prayer, contemplation, and profound reflection, as it is believed that the spirit is more open to divine guidance and knowledge. In contrast, the cosmos maintains a perpetual connection with us, and awakenings in this period can communicate cosmic messages of great transcendence. Dream visions and intuitive perception reach extraordinary power and manifestation at the same time. Nikola Tesla was distinguished by his avant-garde method and his capacity to connect with unusual thoughts and notions. If you find the content pleasant, we appreciate your approval, subscription, and enabling of alerts. We recognize your participation. We can create a symbolic connection between the way Tesla connected with revolutionary thoughts and the fact of rising at certain hours of dawn which, according to some mystical interpretations, could constitute a favorable moment for spiritual union and revelation. We could establish a comparison where those who wake at these moments could be considered harmonized with particular spiritual or energetic dimensions. In a similar way to how Tesla was synchronized with extraordinary frequencies in the scientific field, what happens is that we experience a transformation in our energy. We are channels of data which are transferred and renewed, and we can call it whatever we wish. During that period, we perceive ourselves more connected and dynamic with greater vitality, even when our organism is tranquil. This happens because energy is not so concentrated in our physical body, which enables us to possess more vitality to concentrate and obtain this information. This increase in vitality empowers us to capture and assimilate the data in the current moment, taking advantage to transfer it effectively. Consequently, it is fundamental to attend to repetitive thoughts or the indications that arise at determined moments, as they can represent valuable guidance for our existence and spiritual development. If we experience vivid dreams with well-organized narratives and profound personal significance, especially if we rise during certain time periods, it is advisable to keep paper and writing instruments nearby to register everything we remember upon awakening. We inhabit a universe where the conflict between the positive and negative is perpetual in the spiritual dimension, and this generates a considerable effect on the material during rest. This spiritual battle continues, and it is common for harmful actions to occur during the night. When darkness benefits the secret activities of evil, night is linked with the negative because this moment is selected to act in a concealed manner. The disturbance of rest during the night can be a tactical indication from God to neutralize harmful activities and reinforce our spiritual facet. While Christ died at 3 in the afternoon to redeem us, the opposite happens at 3 in the morning when condemnation is sought and fear is generated in people. The scriptures warn about sowing division while men rest, emphasizing that the adversary works provoking disorder during sleep. God awakens people at night as an alert about hidden spiritual activities, seeking to empower them against malicious plans and calling them to prayer as a remedy to dismantle these plans and reestablish spiritual dominion. Sleep disturbance is not coincidental, but a divine tactic to overcome the adversary's schemes and prevent falling into negligence. Although it might be attractive to simply resume sleep when we rise in the middle of the night, it is essential to take these moments seriously and attend to any communication that God may be transmitting to us. Although it may be more attractive to remain in bed, it is of utmost importance to follow divine guidance, even though questions may appear about why God chooses the night to communicate instead of the day. The reality is that God can inspire us at any moment during the day. Interruptions can impede our ability to hear His voice and recognize spiritual risks. But in the tranquility of night, God can open our eyes to understand the truth more clearly. You will be amazed at the effect that a few brief moments of divine presence each day can generate in your soul. A person who consecrates an hour to pray at night possesses much greater power than someone who prays during the day. It is not astonishing that Jesus dedicated the entire night to prayer, for He understood the force that resides behind prayers in the initial hours of dawn. By consecrating that period to the Lord, a divine union is formed where concerns, fears, aspirations, and recognition can manifest. It also constitutes a space to harmonize with His voice and find strength, guidance, and inexplicable serenity. It is fundamental to recognize the intention of the soul to constantly seek the Maker of the cosmos, who always awaits us. If you remain awake in the middle of the night, it is probable that God has something relevant to communicate to you and expects you to perceive it. In diverse cultures, this early moment is considered favorable for spiritual purification. It is thought that negative thoughts, feelings, and experiences can be released more easily during these hours of the day. By rising at dawn, we can become aware of our internal obstacles more simply, which initiates the process of healing and spiritual purification. According to ancient Chinese medicine, each organ and bodily structure is linked to 2-hour periods throughout the 24 hours of the day. Waking abruptly during a specific period is considered an indication that that area of the body requires care or is unbalanced in some way. Between 3 and 5 in the morning, referring to the lungs and pulmonary meridian in Chinese medicine, it is not limited solely to respiration, but also contemplates vitality levels, immune function, and emotional well-being. Physically rising at this hour could indicate difficulties such as pulmonary obstruction, respiratory complications, or lack of energy, signaling the need to attend to matters such as allergies, asthma, or exhaustion. Being very fatigued and maintaining an inactive life can cause dysfunctions in respiratory capacity. In this situation, it is advised to improve the ventilation of the bedroom, facilitating that the air be less bothersome to the respiratory tract, even opening the window for a while or contemplating the use of a humidifier. According to traditional Chinese medicine, these moments of awakening signal the need to balance physical, mental, or emotional aspects by synchronizing ourselves with the cosmic flow of energy. Furthermore, It is mentioned that during this time, the divinity seeks to obtain our attention, awaken our intuition, and remind us of the importance of nourishing our spirit. Instead of opposing them, accepting these awakenings can lead us toward greater well-being, purpose, and balance. The hours before dawn are favorable for performing spiritual practices such as contemplation. Conscious breathing, journal writing, and prayer allow us to materialize desires and co-create with the divine essence of the universe. Thank you for accompanying me. Share the content, grant it your approval, subscribe, and enable alerts. Until the next encounter.